Okay. Moving on to the quadrtus plantae. So the third layer, sorry. And I have to tape something first. Can I have the white? That'll be perfect. Thank you. So the quadrtus plantae attaches from the heel or the calcaneus to the tendons of the flexor digitorum longus. The flexor digitorum longus is an extrinsic foot muscle or an ankle muscle, but I'm going to tape it anyways. You don't need to write it down or anything, but it's really fascinating how this kind of goes together. So I'm going to do my artwork here. I wonder if I can get this up here. That'll be good. What number am I? 143. Okay. So the flexor digitorum longus, is that what I'm doing? Yeah. So the flexor digitorum longus starts all the way up here in your calf. It's actually underneath your soleus, all right? It comes down and around through here, and it connects onto your metatarsals. And I'm just going to do like this. So we're going to pretend like these are the tendons of the flexor digitorum longus. Where do we go? Yes, to all of the toes. So it doesn't go onto your big toe, sorry. It just goes on to 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll show you in the picture so that you can see how it goes. It's quite interesting. Okay, so here's our flexor digitorum longus. It goes to the calf, crosses over through, and then it's going to go on to each one of the metatarsals of your toes, but not the big toe. Okay, so this quadrtus plantae, purple will work. This connects onto this heel, the red line there. And then it slides into those tendons, all right? So it draws the heel into the center of the foot via these tendons, which is really something that's very important. So I will explain that after you do a little coloring and taping. So I'm going to show you, so these lines here are the tendons of the flexor digitorum longus. These dark lines are the tendons of the, okay? And then this here, that little bit, that's going to be the quadrtus plantae, okay? So get your art on, kids. Okay, so this particular muscle is extremely important because this is one of the huge muscles that is the actual problem when you have plantar fasciitis, okay? So plantar fasciitis is when the plantar fascia, which is the external shell of the foot, gets inflamed. And that's the first layer, which we'll get to, but I'm going to explain this now. So what happens is we ask ourselves to go and do more work of the intrinsic muscles of our feet than they're strong enough to do. And they get tired and they quit working, okay? But we keep going. And then the plantar fascia starts to get pulled on and tightened and stretched out and stretched out and stretched out. And it hurts, and we don't really pay attention to it, and we continue running the marathon or whatever we're doing. And then the next thing we know, we have chronic pain in our feet and we can't do anything. And then we go to the doctor and the doctor gives us painkillers, and then generally you go to the physical therapist, and standard of care is to stretch the plantar fascia, which can relieve the pain but does not solve the problem. And oftentimes people will have plantar fasciitis if it's a really bad case for 6 months to a year until they stop walking because it hurts so much sometimes. The reason why it happens is because all of these little tiny muscles that we are taping and learning about aren't strong enough to do the workload that we gave, okay? So you have to let it rest for the plantar fasciitis to go away, but at the same time, you have to strengthen the muscles that were weak in the first place. So the quadrtus plantae is one of the prime muscles to start strengthening, even if it is inflamed, because that's going to start holding the integrity of the arch together to help the person get out of the pain. You have to relieve the tension from the plantar fascia, and the quadrtus plantae is a prime, and the lumbricals, which we're about ready to learn, are a prime muscle in order to be able to do that. Now, the quadrtus plantae also connects into the Flexor Digitorum Longus. And remember I said the Flexor Digitorum Longus comes up into the calf. So it can actually be fatigue of the calf muscles that start to pull and then start to fatigue the quadrtus plantae and the lumbricals, which then starts to put the pull on the plantar fascia. Is this picture coming clear to anyone as I'm explaining it, particularly Pilates teachers? Okay, good. So all of those things together create the perfect storm for years of pain. And if we go gently and start strengthening these muscles with these little tiny crazy exercises, we can alleviate the pain quite quickly within like 2 to 3 weeks, as opposed to being miserable for 6 months to a year. So here is the infamous get rid of plantar fasciitis exercise. Hold on to your seats, kids. Works like clockwork. I've done it for like 12 years now. You put your foot down and you draw your heel to your big toes without letting your toes move. So that's what fires up the quadrtus plantae. Watch again. Heel goes forward to the big toes. I'll do it up here. Here we are. Heel goes forward to the big toe. Now, this is a lot easier said than done for a lot of people, and it takes a lot of time. And so doing the towel heel crunchies is the best way to teach it. So let's try. I'll get the towels. There's 5 of us. Okay. We all taped and colored, yes? All right, here's your towel. Here's your towel. And we're going to come to stand. When you're working with someone for the first time, you probably want to do it seated, but we'll do it standing. So these are just kitchen towels. Almost everybody has them. You're going to take, and I'm going to do it up here so we can see me. You're going to take your foot and put it on the heel on your towel, and then you keep the toes down, and all you do is pull the towel to you, lift up the heel and bring it back. Pull the towel to you, lift up the heel and bring it back. And you do this, and I do about 5 times in. And then you press it out. Now, someone who actually does have some sort of intrinsic foot muscle issues, this is going to take a while to do. And you just encourage your student to be patient and keep trying to bring the towel in and out. And keep trying to keep the foot and the toes still as possible. Yes. Exactly. So in the beginning, it's going to move a tiny bit.
Because we're used to doing towel scrunchies.
Yes, and that's a great.
The heel doesn't understand it.
Right. Because it's a different muscle, right? So these are another typical physical therapy exercise, which everyone knows, is pulling the towels in with your toes. And that's very fabulous. And that is something that you should also do with the students that have plantar fasciitis. But that's getting it from one side. We also need to make sure that we're getting it from the other side. And so when you can get your student doing the towels from both ways, they're going to be much stronger, and it's going to be much easier for them to get the inflammation off from the plantar fascia and to get the pain to go down. So give it a try, write what you need, but if you do this, you will, as long as you only ask yourself to do the strength of what your plantar fascia and flexor digitorum longus can handle, you will never have plantar fasciitis. And if you get it, you know how to get rid of it. Worth the price of entry, ladies and gentlemen. Question?
No,
It's tough.
yeah.
It's very tough to do.
Very slight activation. It's almost like the heel doesn't understand how to grab.
Sure, because the muscle is just, it just doesn't know how to work that way.
But also the tape foot's not going to grab the towel.
I'm sorry.
The foot with the tape on doesn't grab the
Oh, it does not.
slides across.
Mine did fine, but that's okay. We'll blame it on the tape. Are we ready? All right, so now we're going to move into the lumbricals, and the lumbricals also connect into the flexor digitorum longus at those same tendons, okay? So the lumbricals attach from the tendons of the flexor digitorum longus to the big toe side of the proximal phalanges, okay? Then they continue to the dorsum, or the top of the foot, of the digits to join into the extensor expansion, and that's the connective tissue on the top of the foot, basically. All right? Or kind of like the fascia on the top of the foot. It's going to connect into there. They flex the metatarsal phalangeal joints at the toes, as well as extends the interphalangeal joints. All right, so these are a bit complicated. So let's tape them. I'll do black. Let me grab the black. Okay, so here we are. Remember, our white is the flexor digitorum longus tendons. So it comes out of each of the tendons. Here's our big toe. It's going to come from each of these tendons. It crosses around, and it's going to go across the toe to the inside of the toe. Can we kind of see that? So boom, goes through the middle and to the inside of the toe. All right, the picture will help as well, but I'm going to do all, there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3. So from the next tendon of the flexor digitorum longus, and then to the next toe and through. And then we're going to go to the 3rd toe, or the 4th toe, and across. backwards. And then the fifth toe and across. Okay, so do we kind of see? So they go around, through, and to the side, around, through, and to the side, around, through, to the side. Okay. Here's the picture, so you can see there's the cords again, and then it's the ones that branch off to the side.
So the lumbricals are coming off of the flexor longus.
Bingo. The tendons. So the actual muscle belly is up higher, but these are the tendons that connect the muscle belly to the toe, and it's coming off the tendons. So the tendons don't have a contractile component, only the muscle belly does. Okay. Whoa. Say the question again.
The flexor digitorum longus. You said that's the tendon.
The tendon part of the what?
You said the belly of the muscle is higher.
Yeah. So, yes. So it's under the soleus. So it's a separate muscle from the soleus, and it's called the flexor digitorum longus. And it connects right here, and then the muscle belly runs to somewhere in here, and then it turns into long tendon threads that go and connect into the bottom of the foot. So when the contractile component is happening, it's happening up here, but it's attached at the bottom of the foot, and then the quadrtus plantae along with the lumbricals connect into those tendons. So if you think about it, those three things are all working together, and they're all pulling on those tendons in through there, which creates a huge opportunity for tendinitis. And that is the huge opportunity that happens with the plantar fasciitis. And so figuring out where the actual problem is, it may be something that the FDL, the flexor digitorum longus, is just super tight from running, right? So, that's who ends up with plantar fasciitis, like runners that overdo it, dancers that overdo it, hiking on long journeys when they don't do that every day, they sit at the computer normally, like that type of thing, your typical weekend warrior. So they go and do something that they don't have the muscle strength to do, and then it starts to pull on the plantar fascia. But it could potentially be coming up through in here as well, is what I'm trying to say. And that where you feel the pain is never where the problem is. You have to look far deeper to figure out exactly what caused the pain. The pain is the result of some other dysfunction underlying it. Does that answer and clarify for you? Yeah. Because it's very solvable once you know what the actual problem is. But when you just keep treating the symptoms, it just never goes away. It's like a nightmare for people. And it makes me angry. I am going to stop it. All right. So our lumbricals, what they do is they flex the MP joint, the metatarsal phalangeal joint. So that's right where your We can't see on Herman anymore, but so you remember your metatarsals are the long bones in your foot, and then this is the proximal phalanges, or your toes. So it crosses from there, and so it's going to flex. It's going to help make your knuckle, right? So when you curl your toes and make a knuckle, the lumbricals are helping to do that. So one of the exercises for this is to go to the base of your toe and not the big toe, try press it forward. So you're going to go to the base of each of the second, third, fourth, and fifth toes and try and press it forward. And my second toe does not want to do it at all. My third, my fourth, and my fifth are fine, but my second toe has special needs. So you're going to try and do 5 times at each of the toes to see if you can get it to go. They can and are talented enough to go on their own eventually.
I can do that with my fingers, like what?
See, we all need to have goals.
This spot on your feet.
And don't forget to do both sides of your feet. Yeah, so yeah, the base of the toe, perfect. So now I'm going to throw this to you. This may or may not make sense to you. But the way that they can pull on the lumbricals is they can actually extend the interphalangeal joints. Okay? So that means you keep this part, you keep the knuckle flat, and then you pull the toes up. If that makes sense to you. So you keep this part down, and then this is the interphalangeal joint here. It will pull it up. But it has to do with the attachment to the FDL. Don't think too hard about this. But you can give it a try. Okay. So our test, which we're doing, is to resist with the fingers and flex the toes at the metatarsal phalangeal joint, trying to keep your toes long at the base. And if these are weak, you'll have poor push-off. One of the things is you'll have poor push-off. So this is not good for jumping if they're weak, or running, or anything that you actually need push-off with. And doing those activities will help to train it as long, but if you're trying to get them to fire up, you want to start with just gentle pushes. Don't start trying to train your lumbricals by doing basketball drills or something like that. Not a good idea. Okay. Any questions about the Flexor digitorum longum, the quadrtus plantae, or the lumbricals?